It's Rut and River.
Yes.
Correct.
R-U-T.
I rest my beard hair on it.
And then you know you're there.
Like a nice, gentle little pillow for my beard.
Right.
And then I'm all up in it.
I'm like Kobe beef for sharks.
Can I ask you, what made you guys call me up about, well, this?
That's what tickles our fancy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thought the Rocky Mountains would be rockier.
John Denver is not accurate.
Man.
A guy like you, who has absolutely no clue, and I can hear it in your voice, that, I mean, you're a blank canvas. I mean, I just start with you like from scratch.
You're going to tell me, a grown man, you're telling me what lure to use and how to fish?
You guys didn't snap your whopper plopper off either, though.
Sorry, I blew up over there.
And we are back. Woo. Welcome, everybody. We're here around the Sonic Campfire. You are listening to the Rut and River Pursuit podcast.
For 3 seasons now.
There it is.
I'm still excited from last week's season 3. I'm sure.
It's hard to get not jacked up.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
that new opener is something special.
That's the way to say it.
That's exactly the way to say it.
So jacked up.
Before we get too deep into this, gentlemen, who do I got with me tonight?
This is Dave.
I'm Catfish.
I'm Kyle. I'm Steve.
And I'm Will.
Hey, and I'm Ryan. Boys, we got a show.
We do.
Oh, we do.
I hope we do.
We do.
That's just why you came.
Hey,
Yeah. What else are we going to do tonight, guys?
this thing is right up my alley, and most of ours, actually.
Most of ours, I would say. But I mean, if you want to
What's that alley?
claim it,
Are you owning that alley?
It's the archery alley.
Archery alley.
Oh.
I got to sidetrack you 1 second.
Okay, go ahead.
Because my belly's telling me to.
All right.
I had it.
trust your belly.
I do. I worked all day through surgeries, no lunch, raced up here, was waiting for that Stromboli, and Will totally surprised me with Nomad Barbecue. And I have to say, I may be 500 pounds in the next couple of months going up to 717 Armory because he's right next to the building.
Yeah. It's good.
Thank you, Sean. Dinner was amazing. Thanks,
Yeah.
Will, for getting it. I
Yeah,
just
of course.
had to give a shout out.
It's like
to-
on my way home slightly.
Oh my God, there's a lot of barbecue in the
The
world.
wings are smoked. That makes them healthy.
Yes,
Love it.
They're not deep fried.
I was thinking about shooting meat with Archie. Go ahead. No, I'm
Gotcha.
sorry. Sidetrack.
Sidetrack.
Hey, these things go hand in hand, right?
Right here.
If you have a good, successful season, you're going to have plenty of meat in the freezer.
Well, I'm dying to know who our guest is.
Well,
tonight.
let's
for
just
one.
get right to it, shall we, Stevie? So anyway, fellas, who we've got on the line is none other than Mr. Kurt Smith with the Archery Trade Association.
ATA themselves?
ATA themselves.
ATA.
Kurt, you there, bud?
I'm here. How are you guys?
Good, buddy.
Really good.
We're
Great
awesome.
to talk
This
to
is
you.
Cool.
Yeah, you as well.
So, Kurt, just to start things off, I found out a little background on you here this evening. You and Will, I guess, go way back.
Oh, we have so much history.
Way back, at least what? Well, like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
Man,
on and off.
But, you know,
practically high school sweethearts.
No, that's too far. You've gone too far.
the reason I say that, like when you throw out terms like ATA or the Archery Trade Association to folks who are familiar with the hunting industry, it's a big name. It's huge, and it's worldwide.
It's the name.
But it turns out Will met you at Kinsey's Archery, which also is a huge name in the industry.
It's the name.
But super local to us because right now where we're sitting, 2 miles as the crow flies, if that?
Yeah. We're pretty lucky.
From Kinsey's. So.
Well, I mean, we got the playoffs and the big game, the Super Bowl, which he works at now. Can I ask how you started? Like you didn't just start working for all the hugest names in archery. Like where did you get your archery start at?
It's kind of a funny story because I actually, well, you're talking about being local. I actually went to college in Elizabethtown. I graduated from Elizabethtown College.
Oh man.
Good.
And
So you're a Blue Jay.
I'm a Blue Jay. And I actually went to school for teaching. So I graduated with an education degree, started, got out of school and didn't get a full-time job right away, but did some substitute teaching. And having been around that area, I thought it'd be cool to while I was doing this substitute teaching to get a part-time job at a sporting goods store. So I actually started part-time at Kinsey's Outdoors right there in Mount Joy. So I worked there part-time and was doing the teaching thing for, I'd say probably a year or two. And then they had a full-time opening that came about in their main offices and more the distribution side of things. And, I was, at that point, I was working in alternative education, teaching at-risk youth in inner city schools. So it was high stress, low pay. And so I saw the full-time opening, and they were looking for somebody who had some archery knowledge and also could put together some educational materials. So I possess that somewhat unique skill set.
That's quite a combination. I like it.
Yep.
It's like falling in a hole full of rainbows. I'll say this sucks, but I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah, it worked out.
I hear a lot of stories of guys that, went to college. Even I talked to my sister, went to college for something, got out, used like 5% probably of what college actually taught them to go into a different side of their career of what they loved. So, I mean, at least on that aspect, it got your foot in the door, and then it sounded like it excelled into, I mean, you obviously love your job. You keep doing it. You keep accelerating, going up. I don't know much higher you can get now. Like,
not in archery.
No, that's what I mean. Where else is there to go? He's like Drew Brees.
Have to see it.
Yes. Very cool, man.
So talk about your start in the archery world, Kurt.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I started at Kinsey's working in the bow shop, I had, I would say, limited knowledge. The experience I had was just probably like a lot of guys, just, I'd set up my own bows, kind of tweak them here and there. But it's funny because growing up, my uncle actually owned an archery shop. So when I was a little tyke, probably, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years old, I'd hang out with him in the shop, and he doesn't own that shop any longer. He got out of it quite some time ago, but it's funny to look back because I'm pretty sure he let me like answer the phones and stuff when I was 8 years old in the archery shops. That maybe wasn't the best idea, but so I kind of grew up around it. And then when I got started at Kinsey's, actually, learned from, they have a lot of guys there that have a lot of experience, and was able to pick things up pretty quickly, and kind of blossomed from there. So now I feel like I can relate pretty well when I talk to our members. I've spent time working behind a bow counter. I've been kind of in that day-to-day, setting up bows, trying to make sales and that kind of thing. So I think that's really helpful.
Did you grow up hunting archery?
I did. I'm right here in Pennsylvania, so we can start hunting when we're 12. Mm-hmm. I was probably following my uncle around, who was my kind of hunting mentor. From that same time, I was 7 or 8. I'd tag along with him, and then when I turned 12, I started hunting myself. So
was his name Bob? Just wondering.
It was not Bob, no.
I was just wondering if Bob was your uncle.
Bob's your uncle. That would be cool.
It is nice to have that mentor that gets you started off early in archery, because if you do fall in love with it, it's one of those hard things to get out of. And what me personally love more about archery, my dad was always a competition rifle shooter when he was a kid, and then, taught archery later and fell in love with archery and did the 180. So I grew up with the archery instead of the rifle shooting. But I'd love being able to get downrange and get my ammunition back. It's just, I love to shoot pistols, but boy, it eats my wallet up. Not putting down in it, but once you kind of get your equipment and get going, archery can be relatively inexpensive once you got all your stuff to shoot on the regular. And that's something I really love about I want to shoot, but my wallet's kind of light this week, but it don't matter. I got all my stuff. Let's roll.
I have to aim at different spots on the target though. Otherwise I go through There was
Oh,
pretty
I
good.
bet.
Well, see, our brother Ryan's colorblind, so he can't see the yellow. He can't see the yellow. He shoots it in the blue and thinks he's shooting 10s, but we give him to him anyhow.
And I appreciate it.
Yeah. Colorblind archers are tough. Listen to last week's episode about blood trail, and it's kind of intriguing.
So for our listeners who don't know, can you give a 10,000-foot view of ATA, the Archery Trade Association?
There's a lot to kind of unfold, and maybe I'll pull a 180 on you, maybe turn the tables from you guys. What do you think ATA does?
Oh man.
Oh boy.
They trade archery stuff in an association.
They have an awesome show once a year.
Yeah.
Pretty epic.
Yeah.
show.
So
I think that's where you get. It's just, to me, it's the meeting place, the mecca of archery, and it's where we get together to see all the new stuff, and
It's where the shops and end users who are going to ultimately sell the products get an opportunity to meet and speak with the manufacturers who are making the products. And then you also combine that with distribution groups like Kinsey's and things like that. So it's basically all things encompassing of the archery industry.
Yeah, it glues all the archers of the country together, whether it be at the top of the industry or, that 12-year-old that just bought his first bow. Yeah. I think they're involved in every aspect of it, even though that your modern day archer that, just, hunts Pike County with his uncle that never been off the farm, maybe never even heard of ATA, that don't even realize that they've touched their life in some way down the road.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because what you guys all described, and it's great that we have that kind of that name recognition with with the hunting and archery community, and really the trade show that happens once a year in January is the piece of ATA that is the most visible to most, even to our members. But we do a whole lot more than just that trade show. And honestly, that's the reason why we have staff and why we work year round on a bunch of different initiatives. But the trade show is kind of that that big prominent piece of what we do. So we actually have that team. Our staff is split up into teams. So we have a trade show and membership team. So they work on making sure that everything is set and ready to go for the show every year. And in fact, they're looking 2, 3, 4 years ahead at show venues. And It's amazing how far out those things are booked. But so we have that team and our membership team who make sure that the people who attend the show are the people who should be there, and make sure that our members have what they need. And then we have Dan Forster is our vice president and our chief conservation officer. So Dan actually does a lot with government relations. So we, as the Archery Trade Association, any piece of legislation or policy that's going to affect bow hunting, it's going to affect archery in general. He's kind of our voice. So he does a lot of work with state agencies. So in Pennsylvania, like our Game Commission or other DCNRs or Fish and Wildlife throughout the country, just to try to make sure that people who want to bow hunt can do it, and we don't put up unnecessary barriers. He also spends some time actually in DC on Capitol Hill and is a part of some committees that especially work with the Department of the Interior to make sure that things like land access aren't restricted. And again, just making sure that we are trying to kind of protect our resources with the whitetail herd, especially, as well as the land. So Dan kind of takes care of that aspect. We have our marketing and communications team who does most of our writing. They take care of all that social media, do a lot with the trade show to make sure everything looks good and we're delivering the message. And hey, you guys wanted some dogs barking. Do you hear the dogs barking in the back?
No, I don't hear nothing.
That was your marketing team.
Did you say his marketing team?
He did say
the marketing team, yeah. So yeah, they do the marketing, and this year, we're the ATA. We kind of did a strategic planning and decided that we need to update our brand. So that team has been working really hard, and at the trade show this year, people who attend are going to see a whole brand new look from the ATA, new logo and everything like that.
Wow,
cool.
So lastly, our outreach and education team that I'm a part of. We do things like working with other partner organizations, USA Archery, National Field Archery Association, S3DA, pretty much any archery organization out there. We try to work with them to make sure that we're doing everything we can to just keep the sport growing. And then the things I do, just making sure that all the things the ATA does is really try to help our members, especially people I deal with most are our manufacturers and retailers.
Yeah, do me a favor real quick. I just take 5 steps backwards. There's a lot of our listeners here may not exactly know what this ATA show is we keep talking about. Like they might be gone to some hunting shows or fishing shows, whatever.
Great American Outdoor Show.
The Great American Outdoor Show. I just want to explain to them kind of what the ATA show is if they've never been there, because a lot of people have not been to it. So to give them the 50,000 foot view of it, a veteran archer like Ryan and myself that had gone there the first time in Indianapolis last year, it was so kind of overwhelming that I think we caught ourselves like holding hands walking down the alleyway to support each other. Yeah, it was.
They were skipping, but like it was a comfort skip.
Yeah,
it's like Christmas morning wrapped up with,
with camo.
Yeah.
But I mean, the overwhelming thing, in my opinion, is that you're there with everyone, and you're in one room. One room being a gigantic venue. I'm saying you're in one place with everyone from the industry and celebrities to whatever. Like everyone is there, and you're just bumping into you recognize everyone, and
I really expected it to be. I mean, because it's a huge building. It's a very big place where we went last year. I expected it to be very much more crowded. But I had lots of elbow room and lots of freedom to walk around and feel very comfortable to be able to walk up and talk to, a lot of the industry leaders and guys that, own companies, random one thought out of a million, like walking up and talking to Summit and say, hey guys, I love your tree stands, whatever, not name dropping, but, everybody.
Yeah.
And you actually have a chance to communicate with them on a professional level as of like a giant consumer show where there's so many people and it can be so crowded that you may not get any kind of quality communication, just hi and small talk and, nice to see you. And I find the quality of communication at ATA to be like, it's a needed thing in the industry. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's, because some of the things you guys said, I mean, our show it's a member show, so it's not open to the general public, and kind of for the reasons that you mentioned, especially our retail members. They're there to do business. They're there to write orders, to talk to their sales reps, to see new products, maybe try to pick up new vendors. So we do try really hard to make sure that the people who are there are the people who are there to communicate at that professional level. Obviously, there's a lot of networking opportunities, and we do have media there. We have a lot of different groups, but what we don't have is just people there, just like you have at consumer shows, who are there to just buy product. Nobody buys product. There's no cash and carry at our show. So it is it's an industry show, and for our members, for a lot of them, that's one of their main reasons that they want to be a member of our association, so they can get to that show and they can talk to whomever they need to speak to all in one place. And it's usually a busy 3 days for most people that are there. And after 3 days, they're kind of worn out because they've seen too many things they can't remember. They've talked to too many people they can't remember, but it's good, and it's really for our industry. It's the only one of that kind for that really focuses just on archery and hunting.
We're gonna take Deke. We're gonna take DK this year because he's gonna keep us a journal.
Yeah,
of everybody that we talk to.
Sounds good.
We need that.
It is tough.
I can imagine.
It was very tough. A couple of people that I got to speak to last year, honestly, as me and Ryan were trying to recap the podcast, doing a podcast recap of, it was almost foggy to try to think of everything because it all ran together in 3 days.
Your backpack's full of cards,
Yeah.
And you're just like, I remember that guy.
Met some phenomenal people there.
Now, am I correct to say this is kind of the unveiling for a lot of new products too? This is the open, like if there is something coming to market, that's where they're going to show it, right? It's kind
of I would say it's kind of become the exception to that has been the compound bows, frankly, because they've started to try to move those releases up a little bit, take advantage, I think, of some of the times when people are a little bit more focused on bow hunting. So most of the compound bows, you've seen them. A couple have been released already this year. So we don't have too many of those new products being released, but a lot of the other manufacturers that make accessories or things like tree stands, ground blinds, even camo patterns, things like that. There's a lot of new products that the first time people get to lay eyes on them is at our show.
How do people get, I guess, I don't know if invitation is the right word. How do people attend the show? What do you have to do to go see all this?
Basically, you need to have some sort of, for lack of a better term, a professional standing in the industry.
Okay.
Obviously, we have our members who make the products, who are retailers who buy and sell products. We also have supporting members, so people that offer services like maybe insurance or other legal services who are members of ours. We do have media members. You can get a badge as media because we do want the show to be covered and let those manufacturers get their products kind of out as much as possible to the general public. So really everything to get admittance to the show, everything goes through our trade show and membership office. So they're the ones that are kind of the gatekeepers to make sure that we don't have people there that are just trying to walk around asking for free product and just trying to get autographs and that kind of thing.
Right. So if I'm a guy that I own a bow shop in my town, hypothetically speaking, I own a bow shop. I could then technically attend ATA and get all this information.
Yeah, you would have. Yep. So it just starts with getting a membership. Okay. So we do have a membership application for retailers. There's some criteria that we set just so we know that each retail member is a legitimate shop. And then for retailers, it's nice because you get badges supplied for the show. There's no extra cost other than obviously your travel getting there.
Cool.
But there's no cost to actually get into the show because it's, again, you're being a member. That's one of the benefits that we offer.
So, Kurt, do you have like favorites at these shows?
Favorites?
Yeah, like what's your favorite type of products to?
I'll say
to check out. Maybe not necessarily vendors, not brands, but like do you like? Do you look forward to
the Jack Link's Sasquatch guy?
The beef jerky. Do you look forward to the beef jerky, to the new to bows?
I think I know what Stevie's asking. Like I didn't. I went there totally to look at new bows and broadheads.
Yeah,
and I went like gaga over the Rambo bike. I had no clue what to do with myself riding it around inside the building.
Yeah, there was video you riding that around.
I loved it. I couldn't stand it. I loved it so much. And there was a few of them there, Silent Cat and blah, 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 but they were all great. And so it was kind of a surprise. I think that in the aspect of guys going there getting surprised at new stuff, the difference with Kurt is you're going to know what's there. So like Well, yeah. What is it that you would flock to on your 10 minutes off that they're going to give you a soda break?
Yeah, that was going to be the next thing I said. Now, last year was actually my first year attending the show working for the ATA. Before that, I had obviously with Kinsey's, I had attended and worked the show a couple of years. So I'll be honest, last year I probably didn't even get to walk around that much. I organized the seminar series in the morning before the show opens. So I was down on the show floor at about 5:45 a.m. making sure everything was ready to go for that. And then from there,
a lot of those start at like 6:30 or something like that.
Yeah, we
really
started
early.
at 7:15.
Yeah.
So I was there early. That's a tough one because I don't know that I even really walked around that much. For me, it's having been in the industry for a couple years now. I think I more look forward to just talking with people.
That makes sense.
Really?
You start to know the people with the different vendors, different manufacturers, especially, and retailers. And it's just good to get to see them. And usually even if a manufacturer has a new product, it's usually kind of secondary to just chatting about how business is or how they are. So
well, it's
sorry,
also,
I didn't give you a very good answer.
No, it's a great answer, because what happens to us in the industry is that, we over the years, you get to make friends and you get to see these people, but once a year, you see them at whatever show you're at.
I think that's what your answer is.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Friends. So how is the archery business, I guess, as a whole?
Man, it really depends who you talk to. That's not a real straight answer either, but
he's a real straight shooter.
I would say if you talk to some of our manufacturer members, they're still seeing record numbers every year. Others, they may say they think that the whole industry is on its way out. From the retail side of things, it's kind of the same story. There's not a standard answer, I guess, that we get from everyone. I would say as a whole, from the retail side of things, the shops that are doing well are the ones that are adapting. Yeah. It's a much different industry now than when a lot of these guys started, especially if they've been in it from kind of the heyday of the 80s, 90s, where innovation, all the products every year were like really new, and people just wanted to get into this and they just wanted to come buy stuff and they didn't ask a whole lot of questions. Consumers now are tough. They're more educated than they've ever been. They can buy products in more places than they ever could have. So, like I said, our members that are doing well are ones that are really going above and beyond on the service side of things and earning customers and trying to keep them just by the things they offer that you can't buy online.
Can I throw in my insight on Stevie's question with you, Kurt, and see if you. Yeah. So as a small town clubs like archery clubs and little hunting clubs, I've been a member of a lot of them, and I mean some really small clubs in small towns as growing up. From the time that I could go with Dad and shoot invitationals and like be all excited to shoot a 243 and be like, yes, like I did so good and I got a trophy and 12 years old. Like there was summer leagues and there was winter leagues and there was guys that just came after work just to shoot. Mm-hmm. The clubs when I was younger, archery was like a way of life. The guys would it was a brotherhood. It was a family. The teams were so connected together. They couldn't wait for archery night. It was like their poker night, whatever the case may be. Archery was like ingrained into, just part of the bloodline in Pennsylvania, at least whenever I grew up in these little clubs. In these same archery ranges that I go to now, I don't say that it has a different vibe, but I don't actually think that the archery industry is weakened at all. I still see people with their kids coming in. The only difference that I really think that I see as far as numbers go is throughout the off year, the summer stuff, the summer leagues fall short a little bit from whenever I was a kid. Like the winter leagues still, I think, do pretty good. But our archery shops right now in archery season in Pennsylvania they're booming. When you walk into an archery shop, you're standing in line. It's
from August to November. It's packed.
Yeah. So I don't see a giant change from whenever I was 12 till 38. Now,
right, 38.
What I see is a slightly different aspect. Like when it went from like hobby and passion to like hanging out with brothers to, I think it's just slightly more independent, but still as strong. Like, and here's another thing I want to throw at that too. It's crazy, Steve, because it's almost like Ferraris, Porsches, like they build these Dodge Vipers, these production cars that go 200 plus miles an hour. Where can you really go from that? You know, like with the archery, the way it is, when we went to ATA, I've said for years, like when the solo cam came out, I'm like, where can they go from that? And every year I'm like, how can you possibly make bows any better? What else can they do?
Yeah.
Like we've got to a pinnacle of archery technology that these bow manufacturers have to push envelopes where we're twisting carbon and we're making things lighter and then we're making things heavier and shorter and longer. What's better? Then aero technology is crazy. I just don't know where it can go. Like, how much further can you push an envelope before the things look like space rockets?
But in the interest of fairness, they've been saying that. They were saying that in the 90s when you know.
Did you see those overdraws, man? It's never going to get better than that.
I had a 4-inch overdraw with aluminum arrow.
Probably still do.
Yeah, somewhere. No, but it's. I think as a long version of that, I don't. Well, that makes sense. My opinion is I don't think the industry's. I think it's actually stronger today with social media, the good side of social media, of connecting us all together and like ATA connecting us together. Whereas I think that it was just word of mouth and a family type thing, almost like a bowling league. I hate to say it back in the day, but there was a lot more local clubs back in the day than there are now too.
How long has ATA been around, Kurt?
As the Archery Trade Association, don't quote me on this, I believe 2001, when they took the name Archery Trade Association.
Yeah.
Now, Kurt, to kind of shift the topic of conversation.
Shift it, Kyle.
From Kyle here from Rotten River Pursuits.
From the trade show
First time talker.
You actually are part of a pretty big side of the ATA, and that's their education side. Do you kind of mind telling us, what all does that entail? Are you just dealing with trying to educate consumers? Are you trying to educate manufacturers? Is it a mix between everything?
Yeah, it's kind of a mix between everything. Some of the education is, we do try to gather some resources for our members. So for retailers, for manufacturers, you know, a lot of people that have gotten into this industry, especially from the retail side of things, they got into it kind of like what you were just talking about, because they just really loved archery. They loved bow hunting and they wanted to get in and they wanted to do it for a living. The business aspect of things wasn't necessarily, you know, the reason that they got into it. They didn't really like running a small business, but then a little bit down the road, you realize that's kind of a necessary evil. So we try to develop some resources to help people out with that. From another perspective, we try to go out and educate other people in other organizations. We try to go partner with, say it's like an Isaac Walton League of America that maybe has like a summer program that they do with kids. Mm-hmm. We'll try to help them get their staff educated and certified in archery so that they're teaching kids the right way, and hopefully they're building archers, people that are going to keep participating in the sport. We also developed some programs. We have Explore Bow Hunting and Explore Bow Fishing. So those are actually like educational curriculums that, you know, a state agency can use to actually teach a kid who's never been out in the woods kind of the finer points of bow hunting.
Wow.
I totally blacked out and just was like, You never see that movie, The Equalizer? Like I picture Kurt walking down ATA like the educator. Like people just like he has the answer to any question ever on the spot.
Not true.
Just go with it, Kurt. You gotta live it, man.
I see Kurt as
I'm
like
calling him the educator.
Scott Bakula in the Quantum Leap, where he just goes and rights all the wrongs.
Yeah.
I always tell people I talk to, I never claim to have all the answers because I have not been a business owner. I have not been a manufacturer, but I do actually have the ability to kind of gather up some of the resources that are out there and hopefully give them to them in a way that makes sense.
Well, that too. That's is probably as much work as you have to do, in the spot that you're in. I can imagine that whenever, like, you're in your spare time, you can't ever stop educating yourself because things change rapidly. Like I can't imagine how much, I don't want to use the word studying you have to do, but keeping up with the industry is got to be, it's tiring almost.
Yeah. I mean, keeping up with the industry, but I think just keeping up with the marketplace and retail in general. I find myself saying that maybe it sounds a little brash, but we are not unique. There are a lot of other industries that go through the same problems that we do. So we just got to try to learn from them.
I guess it's sometimes who you're dealing with too. I mean, like for me, whoever booth has the coolest stickers, that's who I'm going to.
That's where you're going?
That's right. I'm like, dude, they got the coolest stickers. I'm talking to them. So it could be just as simple as that as far as marketing goes.
Just better stickers.
If you don't have stickers out so people can have cool stickers and
for you, you got.
What am I going to put on my truck?
Yeah, trucks and coolers.
Are you even in business if you don't have stickers?
I don't know, but my coolers and my live wells. They're sticker. I'm a sticker fiend. Love stickers.
Keep that in mind.
So, Kurt, if I could, I'd like to. Go
ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I'd like to go back a little bit.
Ryan Madera here, Rutten River.
When you were, jeez, when you were giving us the background and the explanations as far as what ATA is, outside of what we had explained as the way we understood it, one of the things that really stood out to me was when you were talking about all of the, basically everything you guys are doing with legislators. Right. Mm-hmm. You're working with state agencies. You're working with federal government. Basically, you guys are giving archers a voice.
Yeah.
When it comes to this. And that's something I just want to make sure we really emphasize that point because that is huge.
Greatly need.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's some of those things that Dan works on a lot are kind of the ongoing. It takes a long time to get anything pushed through, especially at the federal level.
I heard that. What are some things that ATA might be involved in, like right now, from a legislative standpoint?
One of the major things, and I'm going to try to explain this in the least boring way possible.
I can edit it. Don't worry about it.
I might need that.
We'll laugh every 10 seconds just to.
All right. Yeah. Just for Phil. So basically one of the biggest things that Dan's been working on and ATA as a whole has been working on for a while is a modernization of the Pittman-Robertson Act. If you're not familiar, you probably see things, advertisements or whatever that say when you buy hunting products, you're supporting conservation, right?
Right. Yep.
So that idea, that is the Pittman-Robertson Act. So that says that manufacturers of certain archery products have to pay a federal excise tax it's roughly 11% to the federal government. That's a tax that we've kind of self-imposed on the industry to say that we want to give money back so that we can conserve land, conserve resources. That act, I believe, was passed in 1938. So there are things.
Sounds about right.
That sounds about right. There are things that
June,
that we experience
right?
now.
What's that deal?
I have
In June, right?
June
I was
19th.
going to say, well, let's fact check that real quick with DK.
Fact check.
Check your
pull it
journal.
up.
If I recall correctly, I think legislation closed in July of that year.
Yes,
So
yes, you're right. I was thinking 89
I think it was
or 39.
We're nothing if we're
high
not
temperature
accurate.
then was 83 degrees. Relative humidity was about 93%.
this is that part Will was mentioning he's going to edit out. So
Okay.
sorry, you were saying?
All right. So that act was passed in 1938. There are a lot of things that they didn't think about that we would have to deal with in 1938. One of those being back then, really the issue is that we had people killing way too many game animals and destroying land. So we want to make sure that we're protecting the land, protecting the resources. What we see now is that in order to keep the sport strong, we need to bring in more people. We need more hunters.
Yeah.
So this modernization that's actually trying to be put through right now it's just kind of rewriting that act so that the states who actually get this money, they can use it for things like a marketing campaign to try to bring in new people. Right now, they can't do that by law. So Dan's been working hard on that. I think it's through one house, and I think it's gone to the Senate now to be voted in.
Mm-hmm. Well, technically, without licensed sales back in the day, without selling tags for things in the hunting industry itself, we wouldn't have hunting today. Like if it would have continued to go the way it was, things would. I mean, the turkeys in North America, and most of North America, were all but hunted out.
There are turkeys now in states that never had turkeys.
Yeah.
Yep. And most of the state wildlife agencies are funded just by license sales, and they work with some of those federal excise tax dollars. Yeah, they're largely self-sustaining on just what sportsmen are putting into them. So
when Ryan goes out and buys a pack of broadheads, he's paying 11 cents on every dollar to something that is getting turned into conservation money.
Yeah, so that's actually, it's the manufacturers are the ones who pay it. And that's how they pay it is based on kind of like their wholesale prices. But yeah, it's a big chunk of change when you have companies that are selling millions and millions of dollars worth of products. It's big. So that's why we ATA have felt it's really important that we get the most bang for our buck and use that money that's going to have the biggest impact.
Is that just archery products, or is that hunting products across the board?
Usually it's certain types of products.
Gotcha.
In each, firearms.
Yeah, I'm
and
pretty sure
ammunition.
firearms, ammo, all your like camo hunting clothing.
The ATA is helping all of the industries, not just the archery industry,
that's awesome.
and trying to make sure that those funds are being allocated accordingly. So you guys are doing that lobbying, and I just wanted to make sure we touched on that again and we're able to emphasize that. So.
Yeah, it's not so much lobbying. Dan is the one person that's working on that front for us, and he builds relationships. He actually came from Georgia and was a state director, so he has a lot of relationships with a lot of different people and kind of works through them because, frankly, lobbying is really expensive.
It sounds to me like, Stevie, that you have to reach out to Dan and have him on the show so that he can explain to you exactly how it works.
The Pittman Robertson. Yeah.
So
there you go.
Talking about giving archers a voice, I want to kind of jump over to your brand new podcast.
I think it's part of the rebranding that they're doing, right? Is that part of the rebranding?
There's a rebranding. Nice. And there's a new logo, maybe?
Maybe a new logo. It's a trade show. You got to go to find out.
Yeah. Will that new logo have a new logo sticker with it?
It probably will. I don't think you guys are alone in your fondness of stickers.
Yeah.
But I just started with the podcast a couple months ago.
The quality is great. It's very easy to listen to.
And if you're saying that, it must be good.
I'm saying it.
If Will Miser is saying your quality's good.
Optimizer Prime is what they call me here, Kurt. I'm not gonna, I care. That's the problem is I care too much. saying that it's easy to listen to, and what I really kind of started to gather from it is that, you know, I know it's a podcast, I know it's radio, but you're putting a voice to a name. You know, you're seeing that these are real people doing really cool things.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, we called it, I won't take credit for the name either, but we called it.
No, do it.
Beyond the Bow.
Beyond the Bow.
Because, I mean, that's really what we wanted to do. It is, we talk with people within the industry, people that are, a lot of whom are really involved with what's going on with the ATA. And just like you said, we wanted to give that kind of that personal association with what we're doing, that sometimes I think people see the ATA and it's like this big nameless association. Nobody knows like who actually runs this thing. Mm-hmm. So, and it's kind of funny because our full-time staff is 20 people.
Wow.
The whole organization.
Wow.
I've tried to use the podcast to talk to different people in our organization and outside, just to
sounds like you got like 20 shows.
Tell their story. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I at least know I have 20. That's good.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, but it's been good. It's been fun, and it's been cool just to learn about how people got into the industry, because everybody has a pretty unique story.
Yeah. Well, I know where there's probably about 1 million plus archers in Pennsylvania that would love to talk to you. You can go on for years and years. I'm sure the people throwing their 2 cents in. And you said, what was it? BTB?
Beyond the Bow.
And we have TBT. Thank you, brother. Thank you. And he has brother. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Love it. No,
well, and there's 7 guys around this table that would gladly be on your episodes. So there's 7 more. You got 27 episodes, really.
Talking about what archery means to us?
Yeah. I mean, well, 6. Sorry. Stevie would be real quick.
Easy.
He's into bow fishing.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I apologize.
I
blew up.
Like I'm not into it.
Stevie would go on a bow podcast. Enough about these bows. Let's talk about fishing.
No, I wouldn't.
I think that your show, I mean, granted, I've only been to it once last year, but I've heard about it for a long time. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that people, like, from the time that they leave and drive home, they're already looking forward to the next year. Mm-hmm. And I love walking into any archery shop and seeing what's on the shelf. I didn't see that last year, but when we went to ATA and saw all the new stuff, it was a little mind-boggling. How do you keep I don't know how to say this. Like, it's so big. How do you keep like that all in order? Like, do you have like an army of organizers that organize that? Because it sure looks like it could just turn into a McGregor fight real quick over new equipment.
We have our trade show team, who really is just a few people that organize it, but then obviously we work through a company at the venue. The venue has security, so we kind of orchestrate everything, and then just make sure that all the people working for us kind of know what's going on. We do have our own team of people that do things like the shooting lanes, things like that, where like safety is a big concern.
Yeah.
And kind of security within the show itself.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of organization. It would give me a headache to try to put an event that big together.
Yeah, I give them a whole lot of credit, because I sure couldn't do it. And they're working on that show year round for 3 days.
Yeah, I just have to say it about your show too. One of my favorite parts of it was. What was the little section of all like the newest gadgets out? Them tables full of like up and coming. Remember that?
Yeah, there was a whole section
where you wore the hat that looked like a deer.
It was a decoy hat, I think.
That's that thing. What was that section called?
It was like basically like a highlight area where you could just quickly walk up and down about 5 or 6 different aisles and see all of the newest, latest, greatest.
Yeah, I went through there like 5 times with Ryan. That was one of my favorite parts.
There's that section where you have the products, and then there's a whole other section where you can meet the manufacturers of those products.
Yeah.
It's all broken out. It's really cool.
And it's not just guys listening, if you get a chance to ever go out there, it's not just like a trade show where you just walk around and talk. There's a lot of fun things too, like the Jack's Links Sasquatch guy was walking around everywhere. He was a giant hit. The fact that you can walk up and touch and shoot these releases and hold these bows and shoot these bows and try on this new coat and like just, I listen, my mind works weird. The technology of zippers in the world, not everybody makes the same like amazing style of zipper, but
YKK.
Oh my, no, past that, the butter zippers we called them.
Yes, that was at the Nomad.
That's important. I just put a coat on the other day. It was a vest.
Fighting with your zipper?
The zippers were loud.
No, this zipper, you put the coat on and you did the flugel binder thing at the bottom, it zipped itself. Like you didn't have to touch it.
I have
just
zipper
zip
envy
it.
now.
You played a flugel binder.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's my second instrument of my life.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And it was cool. I like to see the fact that there was some goose decoys. There wasn't just archery. There was some other stuff there. There were some blinds there.
Some related topics.
The related topics, and so there's a little bit of something for everybody.
It's one of my favorite shows. Like you said, the minute that you leave, you're ready for the next one.
Yeah.
Unless you're the people working it, right?
No. I don't think about you, Kurt. I'm going to be honest. You're not the first thing I think about. I think about that 360 view blind that I just saw in the rangefinder bow sights, and I think about the
new tree sticks that
the 4-in-1 hunting blind.
The 4-in-1, which was epic.
Not poor Kurt.
Not poor Kurt.
I deal with archery every day.
Bless his heart.
I work in the ATA. My job's terrible.
I didn't say that.
I want to be the supervisor and inspector to make sure every corn dog's cooked correctly.
Are you guys looking for that?
Yeah.
I'll have to check our job postings. I don't know if that's on there right now.
We definitely have a qualified candidate.
Every corn dog will have a small bite taken out of it to make sure it is cooked correctly.
Yeah,
full-time staff of 21 now.
Put a little catfish sticker on every corn dog.
Tasted and approved.
And past that too, like they have really amazing meetings real quick in the morning. We went to an amazing breakfast with Tracy Groves, took us to a breakfast where they had some guest speakers.
There's all kinds of stuff. I mean, what are some of those extracurricular things that you can go to in the mornings?
Yeah, we have a whole seminar series in the morning. I think this year it's usually like 7 or 8 different seminars each day that you can go to before the show floor opens. Some of those are presented by kind of professionals, like people that might offer legal services. Some of them are just presented by another archery shop owner. So it's kind of cool because it just gives us a way that we can help our members learn from each other. Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots of cool stuff.
Well, I got to throw a selfish plug out here.
Do it.
R2 shootout is happening this Sunday, and we have one of the guys on the phone that knows everything, the educator. So I want you to do me a favor, Franco Catfish. Just educate some of our super fans. Go ahead and tell them that what they think is going to happen is really not what's going to happen. They're going to come and blow out and win our competition. We have some good brotherly smack talk going on, but it's just not going to happen, Adam Woods.
Bless their hearts.
Yeah. I ain't name dropping, but Andrew Spittle, Sean Kennedy's coming for you.
Oh.
Pike Diesel, he might be too tired. He's driving like
I hope
5.5 hours to
I've
get
seen
here.
that guy's groups.
Yeah, we're having a fun archery competition this weekend, so I wish you could join us up here.
I've been putting most of my time in this year with the recurve.
Wow.
So
really?
So I'm probably not shooting as tight of groups as most of you guys.
You get bonus points for that.
Yeah. Are you doing trad?
Trad archery.
I don't use that term a whole lot.
I think those are
your words. Bud.
Don't use it. I seriously, I want him to go to his favorite bow company so bad and just tell him this year's new bow is called the Educator.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
I'm going to educate you not to stop 20 yards from me broadside. You're going to get educated.
You can learn
quickly.
You're about to get learned.
Yeah.
So, Kurt, we're bumping up on time. I hate to do this to
already?
you. Already.
Why are you doing that to him?
Yeah. I said I hate it.
Oh.
Where can people find you? Where can they find the ATA, and how can they join?
As far as joining, like I said, if you're in the industry, have a shop, you make a product, you can get in touch with our membership office. They'll get you everything you need to get signed up as a member. Mm-hmm. So our website is just archerytrade.org. You can go to Facebook. We're on Facebook. It's just Archery Trade Association, ATA, I think. You can check out my podcast. It's Beyond the Bow. I think that's up on most of the. Oh, that was good. It's good echo. It's on iTunes and Stitcher, Podbean, all those things. And finding me, you don't have to find me very much, but if anybody wants to shoot me an email, you got thoughts you want to share with me, it's just kurtsmith@archerytrade.org.
Cool.
You're the guy though that they want to talk to if they want to be on Beyond the Bow.
Yes.
They got to talk to me if they want to be on that.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kurt.
For
great.
All this. This is wonderful.
Yeah, no problem.
I think you made us a little bit smarter today. I think.
Absolutely.
I've done my job as the educator.
The educator strikes again.
We're just another statistic. Another notch in your belt, buddy.
Love it. All right. Kurt, appreciate the time, bud. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Kurt.
We'll talk again soon. I know it.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Deaky.
Yeah, bud.
Where can they find us?
You can find us at rutandriverpursuit.com. You can find us on all the social media outlets by searching Rut and River Pursuits. Check us out on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel.
Hit that button.
Hit the button. Find us twice a week with new podcasts every week on all of your podcast apps. So you can search the
iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play,
Castbox.
That's the one.
Castbox.
Okay, guys.
Beyond the Bow's on Castbox too.
It is.
That's it.
Castbox.
Yeah. Check it out.
Beyond the Bow.
Castbox.
Beyond the Bow.
Guys, another great week.
As always.
Great work.
Castbox.
See ya.
Rig 'em weedless.
Peace. Trash pan clear.
Kurt,
all right, we're clear, Kurt.
Did you hang up?
No, I'm here.
Probably should have hung up on it.
Get out while you can, bud.
Just got to get in the zone here, Kurt. Sorry.
Turn it up, brother.
It's all right.
Me.
Make your trash pan. You got to make your trash panda sound.
Brown cow.
That's my trash panda sound.
What do you think ATA does?
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
They trade archery stuff in an association. And there's a new logo, maybe?
Maybe a new logo at the trade show. You gotta go to find out.
Yeah.
Will that new logo have a new logo sticker with it?
It probably will. I don't think you guys are alone in your fondness of stickers.